Earlier this year, I reviewed a Redmi Note and this is what I had to say in that video. Overall, another budget device from Xiaomi that punches well above its weight. They're kind of making this a habit now. I'm impressed, I really am. Now, the Redmi Note's just been launched here in India and this variant is mildly different from the one that I checked out earlier this year. The competition's also changed today, so does my final judgment still hold true? Well, that's what we aim to find out in this video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech and you're watching my full review of the Redmi Note. Let's get started. So let's start with the specs because that's the major change from the variant that I reviewed before. The 3G variant sold in India is powered by the Mediatek 6592 chip. This houses 8 Cortex A7 cores clocked at 1.7 GHz each, coupled with a Mali-450MP4 GPU and 2 GB of RAM. So that's a 300 MHz clock speed increase and an extra gig of RAM over the variant that I reviewed before. And as expected, the synthetic benchmark scores are higher, and even with real-time usage scenarios like gaming, the Redmi Note managed to hold its own. It managed to run any game we threw at it more often than not. As long as you keep in mind that this is a budget device and you are okay making a few compromises like a bit of lag here and there or turning down the graphical requirements, the Redmi Note will deliver. The audio via the internal speaker though is average. And since the Redmi Note doesn't ship with earphones, I tested out the output via the headphone jack with a great pair of wooden headphones, the Meze 88 Classics, and sadly the Redmi Note did not impress. The output fell flat and the levels were quite low. Anyway, we have 8 gigs of onboard storage and removing the glossy back panel reveals 2 SIM card slots and a microSD card slot capable of supporting microSD cards up to 32 gigs. There's also a 3200 mAh battery inside. Surprisingly, the battery life has taken a hit from the last time I tested the Redmi Note. On a looping video playback test, this variant managed to last just a little over 7 hours before running out of juice. But on the bright side, the standby drain is low and tasks like playing music or making calls, which leave the display turned off, don't drain a lot of battery either. Overall, I managed to get through a day on a single charge on most days. I've used this phone as my daily driver for at least 10 days in the last month and a half since I received it. Anyway, moving on, the Redmi Note houses a 5.5-inch Gorilla Glass 3 covered IPS display, giving it a pixel density of 267 pixels per inch. Yeah, you heard me right, that's Gorilla Glass 3 covering the display. Once again, I reached out to Hugo Barra who was kind enough to confirm it. So, coming back, the display, while not the sharpest, is decent. It's bright, color reproduction's good, the viewing angles are okay as well. It's worth noting that it's a lot less reflective than the one found on the Redmi 1S, meaning sunlight legibility is much better. I also like the fact that Xiaomi's learned from their mistakes and the capacitive keys are now backlit. But at the end of the day, this is a budget smartphone and it shows. The build is nothing to write home about. It's heavy, it's thick, you're probably going to end up using it with 2 hands at most times. It's not that Xiaomi has done anything wrong here, it's just a case of, you get what you pay for. Anyway, that's how phones are in this price range, so no surprises here. So let's now talk about the cameras. The Redmi Note has a 13 megapixel f2.2 rear shooter and it takes decent pictures. While it's not the best 13 megapixel camera on a smartphone, it's definitely the best in its price range. Images are sharp enough, colors are almost natural with minor oversaturation issues. In well-lit conditions, noise is almost non-existent, and to top it all off, 1080p video at 30 frames per second is surprisingly good. Pictures shot with a 5 megapixel front-facing camera are acceptable too. The UI is similar to what we've seen on Xiaomi devices before, so nothing new here. It works well, it's responsive, easy enough for both those new to smartphones and those new to Xiaomi to pick up and use. Next up, let's quickly talk about the software. Again, let's cut to my original review of the Redmi Note. Here's what I had to say. The Redmi Note runs on Android 4.2.2 with Xiaomi's own MIUI on top. Xiaomi at the time of shooting this reviews already began rolling out KitKat, so the Redmi Note should be updated to KitKat pretty soon. Sadly, Xiaomi hasn't updated the Redmi Note yet. Yes, MIUI is a pretty heavy user interface, but that's no excuse to release a phone no matter the price range with such an old version of Android on board. Well, I didn't really see it as a con 9 months back. The fact that the Redmi Note's still not been updated yet leaves me wondering if it would ever be updated. So this time around, I'm gonna put this down as a con. But if you do choose to look past it, the software on the Redmi Note does deliver. This is MIUI, so there's no app drawer, meaning all your apps go onto your home screen. You get endless customization options with Xiaomi's Themes app. You get an FM radio, call recording built in, and a lot of other MIUI tricks. By the way, I have a dedicated video for the top 44 tips and tricks that MIUI V5 brings to the table. I'll leave a link to that video in the description down below, so feel free to check that out. Almost all those features are available here on the Redmi Note. Overall, the UI is smooth for the most part. Apps open up quick, there isn't a lot of heating or lag issues. 2 gigs of RAM means your apps don't get shut down in the background. I didn't really feel the Redmi Note slow down with any day-to-day usage, so I'd say good stuff. Bad Android version, but the UI implementation is pretty good. So with that, we get to the price, and this has always been a strength for Xiaomi, and keeping up with that tradition, the Redmi Note has been priced at 8,999 rupees here in India. So, is this a perfect phone? No, not even close. Are there compromises? Yes, definitely. For starters, you have to end your Xiaomi flash sales. The audio output is not great. It ships with an old version of Android on board. I've said that enough, I guess. The fact that it's remained on this version of Android for close to a year means odds of it being updated anytime soon seem slim. But that being said, the kind of performance that the Redmi Note offers for that price should not be taken lightly. And when I reviewed the Redmi Note about 9 months back, I was talking about an almost $250 phone that needed to be imported. But today the prices have dropped, and despite all the Redmi Note's flaws, I stand by my original statement. The Redmi Note still punches well above its weight. If this is your price range, there aren't any others who come close to the price to performance ratio provided by the Redmi Note. So there you have it. That's what I think of the Redmi Note 3G. I say 3G because Xiaomi also sells a single SIM 4G variant with Snapdragon 400 on board, and that's priced about 1,000 rupees higher and runs on KitKat. So that gets the newer Android version. Anyway, if you guys want me to check that out and give you a quick comparison on the performance differences between both variants, do let me know in the comments below and I'll try to get that done. So with that, we get to the end of this review. So do you guys agree with me? Do you guys agree with my point of view here? What do you feel? I'd love to know your thoughts. So again, do let me know via the comments below, and as always, links for both my Indian and international viewers to order a Redmi Note can be found in the description. So hope you guys liked the video, hope you found it useful. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up, and for more videos like this, do stay subscribed. So I guess that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.